You are listening to the Artist Spotlight Archive. This program originally aired on October 9th, 2021. Welcome to the Artist Spotlight, where we feature 3 in a row by our Artist of the Week. My name is Michael Drange, and this week we are featuring the music of singer-songwriter Phil Tallo. He has a brand new release, which we will be hearing a bit later in the show. But first, we'd like to thank you for being part of our Artist Spotlight series.
Well, I'm happy to be here, Michael. Thank you very much for having me. And also a big thank you to Southern California Singer-Songwriter Radio for providing such a great platform for singer-songwriters to be heard and express themselves, because most radio stations aren't doing that these days. So much appreciation. Thank you.
So, Phil, how would you describe your music for our listeners that are not familiar with your work?
Well, I'd like to think that my music isn't bound by any sort of genre or style. But for the sake of this show, given the songs that are being featured, and in somewhat of a broad general sense, my music can probably be best described as melodic rock, melodic pop, with an emphasis on the piano or some sort of keys, as opposed to guitar-based rock and pop music. And from a lyrical standpoint, my songs tend to tell stories about life relatable to the average person. Storytelling lyricism.
I'm here with singer-songwriter Phil Tallo. The first song we will be playing today is entitled Lost in a Dream. What can you tell us about this song?
Lost in a Dream is a song from my debut album, my 2011 debut album titled Live for the Day. To go back a little bit, I was born and raised in the St. Louis area of Missouri, and I moved to Los Angeles, California in October of 2003. And when I wrote this song, which was around, I think, 2008, maybe the end of 2007, I was feeling very unaccomplished, like I hadn't really pursued fully and fulfilled this dream of mine, which was all centered around music. You know, in this case, you know, moving out to Los Angeles and, you know, being a successful songwriter, producer, performer. Even though I'd done a little bit of that, I had felt like I wasn't on pace to where I wanted to be. I wasn't where I would have liked to have been at that time in my life. Even though looking back, you know, a lot of it was in my head. But at the same time, it was very real at that time. But also in the song, I also say how grateful I am to the people that I've came across throughout my entire life, not just in Los Angeles, but also in, you know, my life in Missouri. And there's even a line in this song that says, you have touched my life. And it's not about one specific person necessarily. It's about everyone that's touched my life up to this point. So when I was finished, it was very satisfying to have that out, because music has always been sort of a therapeutic tool for me. And in this case, it's a perfect example. And it's definitely one of my most, I guess you should say, proud. I'm very proud of this composition, both musically and lyrically.
Well, I'm not crazy, I'm just tired, and time is blazing by. But after all, I've had the time of my life. So much of what I have desired has pushed the passion aside, consuming me and keeping me from the light. Now I don't know, there are times I feel so low, and I wanna stay, but there may not be another way. I hope you understand that I've done the best I can. It seems as though I've lost that fire. Sometimes it's hard to smile. Confusion has been building now for a while. I'm inspired, 'cause you have touched my life, and I won't forget the memories I have deep inside. But I'm feeling low, there's so much I still haven't shown, and I'd love to stay, but it's not that simple anyway. I hope you understand that I've done the best I can. Lost in a dream, I become clouded by all the schemes and the fun. I've got to find my way, baby. Well, I'm not crazy, I'm just tired, and time is blazing by. But after all, I've had the time of my life, and I am thankful, I'm inspired, 'cause you have touched my life, and I'll cherish all those memories I keep deep inside. Well, I don't know, there are times I feel so low, so I wanna stay. That just meant I'm free another way. I said, whoa, whoa, well, no, no. I hope you understand that I've done the best I can.
We are featuring the music today of Phil Tallo in today's Artist Spotlight. I always like to find out how people got started in music. How did you get your start in music?
I have been infatuated with music for as long as I can remember. I have a few memories from very, very early on, like ages 2 and 3, where if I hear a specific song, it'll basically give me that flashback to that time, whether I was sitting in a high chair or whatever. I do have memories of very early on, so I've always been infatuated with music. I've always loved music. It will always be my passion. When I was 4 years old, my parents took me to my first concert, and it was Billy Joel's The Nylon Curtain Tour. And I was a big Billy Joel fan already at that point, because my dad used to listen to Billy Joel all the time. My dad and mom, but my dad primarily used to listen to Billy Joel a lot. And I took a liking to that type of music, and I took a liking to the piano. And when I was 6 years old, my great-grandmother gave us her upright piano, because she was a piano player and instructor. And she had given us her upright. And so I started taking piano lessons at age 6. And I took classical piano lessons up until I was about 16. So I took them for 10 years. And if it wasn't for my mother and father, and this one primarily my mother, making me stick with it for those years, I probably wouldn't be where I am today as far as my musicianship and technical keyboard skills at the basic level. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Love you guys.
As a singer-songwriter myself, I know the songwriting process is ever evolving and changing, which leads me to a couple of questions. First, who would you consider your biggest influences as a songwriter, and who do you have on your listening playlist today that wasn't there 5 years ago?
Well, first off, I love all different types of music, all different styles, all different genres, from rock and roll to pop to jazz to country to hip-hop to reggae to classical to electronic to house. I love all music. But as far as, the biggest influential artists on myself, the ones that who I've been influenced most by are, number one, as I just previously mentioned, Billy Joel. And then in no particular order, the next three would be Freddie Mercury of Queen, George Michael, and Elton John. Those are my top four biggest musical influences that have had the biggest impact and had the most personal influence on my musical career, for sure. And regarding who are on my listening playlist today that weren't on there 5 years ago, Radiohead, for sure. And don't ask me why. I mean, I would listen to them, but not as intensely as I have been this past year or two. And indie group named Tame Impala. It's actually kind of a one-man show, but yeah, those would be the two that I'm listening to the most that I didn't listen to 5 years ago.
We are here with singer-songwriter Phil Tallo playing some of his music. The next song was just released yesterday. It is a stripped-down version of a song entitled Hold On Tight. Can you tell us a little something about this song and this new release?
Well, I'm currently working on my second full-length album, and Hold On Tight is a part of this album that I've been working on for a few years now. It's been in the works. And it's the last song on the album. It's the 9th track, and it's also the last song that I wrote for the album. And I wrote it towards the beginning of 2020. And when I wrote it, it was just on the piano and me singing. And that is this latest release that you're about to hear is that original version. Although I recently re-recorded me just on the piano and vocals. Once the pandemic started, I was just kind of playing around with it, and I was like, well, I wonder what this sounds like if I added some drums. And I've always been interested in electronic music and have been wanting to incorporate it into my own music for quite some time. And so I did a little experiment and basically released a version of Hold On Tight in September of 2020. And it's titled Hold On Tight, featuring a Bird of Fire. And a Bird of Fire is an artist friend of mine who liked what I was doing and wanted to be a part of it. So he's singing all the background vocals on the song. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And if you want to check it out, it's on Apple Music, Spotify, and all the online music retailers. But after listening to it and after revisiting this original version, because I currently started working on my second album again, I was like, wow, this really sounds very good stripped down. And it's actually titled Hold On Tight Stripped because it's stripped down to just piano and vocals. And it's really exposes the rawness and the emotion of the song itself. And I figured it'd be a good time to release it now because a lot of people have been going through challenging times, myself included, with this whole pandemic. And it's all about not giving up, holding on tight, and things are going to be okay.
I got a lot of things on my mind. I'm having trouble finding time. I've tried so hard to figure out what this burden is all about. Gotta hold on tight, can't give up the fight. Wipe the tears from my eyes. Everything will be alright. And the weeks go by like days. If you notice anyways, when it all is said and done, and there's nowhere left to run, just hold on tight. Don't give up the fight. Wipe the tears from your eyes. Everything will be alright. Got a lot of things on my mind. I'm having trouble finding time. But as hard as things may seem, I must not lose sight of what life means. Gotta hold on tight, can't give up the fight. Wipe those tears from my eyes, and everything will be alright.
You are listening to the Artist Spotlight, where we are featuring the music of Phil Tallo. I am always interested in how people go about writing songs. Do you have a typical process you use when you write a new song?
You know, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I first started writing songs around age 15. Since then, I've really been able to hone in on the whole writing process and what really works for me. You know, tailoring songs to fit more my vocal range. Whereas when I first started, I was just kind of all over the place, you know. I had my influences, but I really didn't know what I was doing, not near as much as I do now. Funny enough, almost 30 years later. With that being said, music, like I said, is a passion of mine. And most of the songs I write, if not all of them, usually stem from some sort of personal experience I had. You know, they're very personal to me. But yet I realize also that if I make them too personal, a lot of times a lot of listeners may not be able to relate to it. So I do try to keep them somewhat generalized. In fact, Hold On Tight's a good example of that, because in the first verse, it's in the first person, so I'm speaking like it's me. And in the second verse, it switches to the second and or third person, depending upon which way you look at it. And the reason I do that is because music, it's not just a passion. It's like water and food for me. It's like I'm almost codependent on it, meaning that like it's always been sort of it has been a therapeutic tool, as I mentioned earlier. So because music has helped me through situations throughout my entire life, I try to do the same with my music, so the listener may be able to relate to it and may be able to, that song may be able to help them through a specific time, or maybe keep them flying through a good time or something like that. But I always write the music first, and the lyrics always come second, usually last. It's usually the last thing I work on. Usually I'll write a song and even arrange it and sometimes even produce the music, and then I'll put the lyrics to it. And the music usually dictates what the song's going to be about. It sets the mood. And a lot of times I don't know what that's going to be. Sometimes I'll get the lyrics at the same time, and other times they'll all come later. But the music comes first, and then, if some of the lyrics don't come to me, then it'll be just kind of scrambled words, and I'll get the end of this, the phrases maybe rhyming with the specific vowels or whatever, and then I'll put the words in later. But the mood that gets set from the music initially will set the tone for what the song's going to be about. Now, whether I know what the song's going to be about subconsciously or not, I'm not sure, but it definitely sets the mood, and then I'm able to fill in the blanks from there. But even before all of this happens, there are two main ways that I go about writing a song, that I get inspired to write a song. One is an idea will just come to me. A melody will come to me at some point throughout the day, no matter what I'm doing, or sometimes in a dream, if I can remember it. And then I'll sit down at the keyboard or piano, work out the melody, and then I'll put the harmonies and chords with it. And the other way is I will just be sitting at the keyboard and I'll just be improvising, or I'll be playing around, and an idea will come out of that improvisation. The craziest thing is I'll be working on a particular song, working on a new part of that song. And although that part may not work for that particular song I'm working on, it sparks a completely new idea for a brand new song. And that's happened to me a few times.
Where can our listeners find more information about you and your music?
You can find all of my music, stream and or download at philtallo.com. That's Tallo with 2 L's, Phil with 1. You can also find me on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Deezer, all of the online music retailers, as well as SoundCloud and Reverb Nation.
Our last song today is entitled Everybody Lies. As a songwriter myself, Billy Joel is easily my biggest influence, and the first time I heard this song I thought to myself, this guy must have listened to a lot of Billy Joel. I'm not sure what it was because it's not heavy on the piano, but that's what I thought. So before we play the song, can you tell us what you are up to musically these days, and a bit about Everybody Lies?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm currently working on my second full-length album. I actually started recording it back in 2015. About 2 or 3 years ago, I put it on the back burner and started working on it again last year, in 2020. I started working on other songs released recently. In 2020, I released a 6-song EP. And like I said earlier as well, I released the full version of Hold On Tight. This year alone, I've had 7 releases. I released an album called Repertoire, the compilation of a bunch of songs that I had written previously, and some live performances. And I also have released 2 cover songs, first 2 cover songs I've ever recorded, as well as this new stripped down version of Hold On Tight that was just released yesterday. And I have another release coming up, which is an EP of Hold On Tight. And it's got 4 different versions on there. It has the version with the Bird of Fire that was released last year, as well as a radio edit of that version, an electronic dance EDM version, as well as the stripped version. So yeah, I've been very busy during this pandemic, during this downtime for sure. Everybody Lies is another song off my 2011 LP. It just so happens to be the last track, the 9th track as well. And, you know, I said earlier that my music tends to be piano emphasized. Well, this is actually a good example of a piece of my work that is guitar emphasis. Although I wrote it on the piano, it is very guitar heavy. You know, so I kind of wrote it as if I was playing the guitar in a sense. And lyrically, it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's about the fact that everyone lies, including myself. I think some people get the wrong impression when they hear it. They think I'm just lashing out at people I've came across that they lie and I don't lie. And that's couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, you know, I wrote this when I was living, you know, I'd been living out in Los Angeles for about 2 or 3 years. And Los Angeles in particularly, you know, people like to, let's just say, embellish. They like to tell their stories, and a lot of times the stories aren't exactly true. And people generally don't like the truth in general. People tend to not like the truth. And it was really starting to affect me, not so much from an external point of view, but I was seeing myself becoming more and more like that. And it was starting to bother me. So once again, you know, I took one of my personal experiences and put it to music.
Disregarded by humanity. You see, the world can be so flaky. Promises get shaky, and truth is just a backup plan. They say live each day in an honest way, then you will shine like the sun. Cause everybody lies, and everybody tries to make believe that they're for real by hiding what they truly feel. Now everybody knows it's just the way life goes, and trust is such a hopeless case. We all reveal the other face. Yeah, everybody lies, lies. Let's talk about hypocrisy. It seems like such a commonality. And when everything is hazy, people get so crazy and act as if there's nothing wrong. They say it's okay if you can't relate. Just fake like you're having fun. Play along and deceive everyone. Cause everybody lies, and everybody tries to make believe that they're for real by hiding what they truly feel. Now everybody knows it's just the way life goes, and trust is such a hopeless case. We all reveal the other face. Yeah, everybody lies, lies, lies. And everybody tries to make believe that they're for real by hiding what they truly feel. Now everybody knows it's just the way life goes, and trust is such a hopeless case. We all reveal that other face. Yeah, everybody lies, and everybody tries to make believe that they're for real by hiding what they truly feel. Now everybody knows it's just the way life goes, and trust is such a hopeless case. We all reveal the other face. Yeah, everybody lies, lies. Say everybody lies. Oh, lies. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, everybody lies. Oh no lies. Oh, oh, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've been listening to the Artist Spotlight here on Southern California Singer-Songwriter Radio. Today we featured the music of singer-songwriter Phil Tallo. This program airs throughout the day on Saturday and can be heard as a podcast at www.podcast.socalsingersongwriterradio.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Thanks for listening.